Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another day of survival for the Los Angeles Dodgers. A great Friday for all of us to do our work, and I hope everybody's doing good. And it looks like we could actually also get rain this weekend. So things are looking up. We also have brothers and sisters Public Works out at 6th Street dealing with a situation that they certainly will. And then we're going to shut down the 101 tomorrow, too. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. All right, welcome to the Board of Public Works for Friday, October 22nd, 2021. Dr. Campos, can we establish quorum, sir?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing quorum and roll call for today. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. Mr. President, you do have a quorum at this time. Currently, we do not have any callers on the line for general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. No speakers on the line as well for today's agenda.
All right, thank you, sir. Why don't we, we'll first take the minutes from Wednesday, October 6, 2021. I will motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any objections? Commissioners Villegas, Caloza, or Vice President Garcia? All right, hearing none, the minutes from Wednesday, October 6, 2021 are adopted and approved forthwith. We are going to go ahead and start off with item number 5. Item number 5 is in Council District 7. This is a memorandum of understanding, the Discovery Cube, Los Angeles, recommending the board, 1, approve and forward this report with transmittal to the Mayor's Office for approval to execute the proposed second memorandum of understanding between the City of Los Angeles, Department of Public Works, Bureau of Sanitation, and the Discovery Cube Los Angeles for operational support and to develop, promote, and assist with the City of Los Angeles, Bureau of Sanitation, environmental events and programs. The term of this MOU number 2 will be 3 years, expiring on June 30, 2024, with a maximum compensation of $1.8 million for the performance term of July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022. With any additional compensation that may be provided in future years to be authorized through subsequent amendments. And 2, authorize the President or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the MOU upon approval of the Mayor and City Council. Dr. Campos, I think we have a typo in recommendation 1. That should be June 30, 2024, correct?
Mr. President, I will go ahead and double check that on recommendation number 1.
Okay. Meanwhile, we'll get started. Colleagues, the CEO of Discovery Cube Los Angeles, Joe Adams, is with us, as is the Honorable Wendy Gruhl with us today, who is a board member, distinguished board member for Discovery Cube Los Angeles. And they're here with us in case we have any questions following the presentation. Welcome, y'all.
Thank you.
Good to see you. All right, Mr. Almonte, are you giving the presentation here? Or, oh, Leah, hi. Hi, Ms. Chu.
Hi, good morning, President Good. Commissioners, I do have a presentation for you. My name is Leah Chu. I'm from the Office of the City Administrative Officer. The second MOU before you between the Bureau of Sanitation and the Discovery Cube is for developing, promoting, and assisting with the Bureau of Sanitation's events and programs. As this MOU continues the partnership between the Bureau and the Discovery Cube, where there's a shared interest, specifically in environmental stewardship and an awareness of how to be involved through the Bureau's programs, environmental programs. As you mentioned, the term of this MOU is for a period of 3 years and a maximum compensation of $1.8 million. The city's adopted budget includes funding in the general city purposes for the activities that's previously mentioned, and the sources of funds are specifically the Solid Waste Resources Revenue Fund, the Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund, as well as the General Fund. Our office, the Office of the CAO, will continue to serve as the administrator for this MOU, and what that means is that we'll be reviewing documentation submitted by the Discovery Cube to ensure that the reimbursed expenditures are in line with the authorized uses of those special funds that was previously mentioned. And I'll end my report with that. With me are representatives from the Discovery Cube, and we're happy to answer any, and also from the Bureau of Sanitation, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Chu. Mr. Adams, Ms. Gruhl, would you all like to add anything?
Well, just one, thank you so much for this action today and for the partnership that we've developed with the city and the Bureau of Sanitation and the CAO. It really has been instrumental for our operations of including, including all of the sustainability issues that you focus on, and Joe can talk a little bit more in detail about that. I do believe that as you looked at the agreement, that the intent is for us to spend this money in 2022, in this next year, that the allocation was for that, and that the contract MOU allows it to go up until that 3-year period of time in case we aren't able to expend it. So, but the goal is, as we have up until last year, every year gotten an allocation on a yearly basis. So I think that may be where the confusion would be on that item, but I want to thank the CAO's office for their help on that, and that this is a wonderful partnership. We feel like this is, we're all family, and that this is providing the kind of resources for the kids, not only in the Northeast Valley, but the entire city of Los Angeles, and appreciate the board's approval in the past. And for those of you that have not been there, I know we have some new commissioners. We encourage you to come out and see what we're doing and the role that the Bureau of Sanitation has played, and the entire Public Works Department. But Joe, you might be able to give a little bit more detail, just a little bit on what we're doing there. But thank you so much, commissioners.
Commissioners, thank you very much. We've enjoyed a partnership. The Bureau really has been like one of our founders. The whole Discovery Cube exists because of the Bureau and Department of Water and Power coming together, and we made this thing happen. And our mission for the Cube, we're children's focused science center, and we use science in a lot of hands-on ways, but science to make an impact. And that impact is to change the behaviors of our community for what the city needs. So in the Bureau's particular case, reduce, recycle, organic waste is coming down. How to get families to be more comfortable about what are these things, how to do it. And we use kids as kind of the entryway to get there. Kids, their minds are open, they're excited to learn and know more about this world. And so we use science, hands-on fun, some competition, and we blend all that together to get them excited. And then we say, okay, now use that excitement to do these behaviors, to recycle more, learn what goes in what the recycle bin. Don't pollute it with a bunch of other stuff. The Bureau's got to deal with that on the back end. If we put it all in right, saves labor, saves money, saves a lot for our city, just the behavior. And we also feel that if we can change kids' behaviors early, it's a lifelong behavior. It's not just like it happens when they're 10. It's like when you get them to think the right way when they're 10, they go for 90 years or how long they're going to make it. That's the behavior we're doing and why we make an investment now. High schoolers, we kind of age our targets like elementary, middle school, because their minds are moldable. They're listening. They don't know it all just yet. So we can get them. We can help change their behaviors early on. They can impact mom and dad about what you do. Say, hey, I was taught at the Cube that we're supposed to do this. Better do it right. And so that's another way that we make that happen in the games, the gaming, and just the way we do it in a fun and engagement way also throughout the community. So thank you so much. Your funds allow us to carry on that mission. At the Cube, we have several great exhibits that do this. The Race to Recycle exhibit is a competition where these waste cans come alive and you have to go sort through this conveyor belt of waste to identify what's recycled, what's waste, what's organics, and all those things, and compete. We also have this great exhibit called the Discovery Market, where you go and you look at and you think about, before you buy stuff, what is that environmental impact? What's the environmental footprint of these things? And it's a kind of an advanced exhibit, but it's a very fun, engaging way, and it all ends in a selfie, because who doesn't like a selfie? Kids really get that as a way to encourage them. So, as Wendy said, we would love to host anybody who hasn't been to the Cube. You don't need a kid to come out. Come on down, and we'll show you around and show you what we're doing. We love this partnership and want to continue to find ways to be innovative for both the city and for the Bureau. And I want to introduce Luis Almonte with us. He's our Vice President of Operations there, and I just wanted to So you also saw him. So if you don't see me, you find Lewis as well. The two of us are around to give you tours or whoever you want. If you feel there's other people that's important to see what we're doing, please let us know.
Thank you, Mr. Adams, and it's good to meet you, Mr. Almonte.
I posted my email on the chat. If any of you ever want to reach out to me, just go ahead and email me, and I'll be glad to receive.
And we might have a friendly competition between the commissioners to see who does the best on those different, recycling in the market. But thank you, and I want to make sure we thank our council member Rodriguez and the mayor who've been so incredibly supportive.
Absolutely. And Ms. Gruhl, as a board member, I want to just give you a little bit of advice, which is please make sure that your CEO has a little more enthusiasm about his work.
Exactly, I know.
You jump off the screen, Mr. Adams. It's fun. It's great, and it's exciting. I love the cube. So, all right, let's open it up. Questions, colleagues. I'll start with you, Commissioner Villegas.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm glad that this is before us. Just a quick question, just on business. Is this, just for clarification, is this a one-time allocation or an annual allocation? It sounds like it's an annual allocation. And is this allocation just for 1 year with the lack of a better word here, I'm just early in the morning, wiggle room to use those funds, the 1.8 million for 3 years?
Thank you for that question. So this is only a one-time allocation. So the 1.8 million is meant for this current fiscal year, and certainly there is provided with the appropriate council approval, funds can be reappropriated to another fiscal year if necessary.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I did do some work out in San Fernando Valley, and I did visit. I just took my kids. I found it fascinating. I did get some wrong with the little belts coming down the wrong, coming down, but it is really, really educational. I can't say that enough. Even just the mock house that you have with all the solar equipment, it's fascinating. I'm glad that you're capturing kids, because change of behavior is hard as adults, but with children, it is. That's where plastic bag education also comes in handy too. Getting them when they're young. Thank you for bringing this forward, and congratulations on a really educational Discovery Cube.
And thanks for your question, Commissioner Villegas. I think I confused matters with in the opening, but that makes sense. And I think we all recognize we're actually the funding has actually been allocated. What we're voting on is the MOU attached to it. So, President Pro Tem Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I really don't have any questions about what we're doing here in terms of voting on the MOU. I just have some observations that I like the fact of the collaboration between the Bureau of Sanitation as well as the involvement of the Department of Water and Power, and the collective effort that we're utilizing here in implementing an increase of awareness about sustainability practices. I think that obviously we won't be able to reach our overall goals until such time we increase the awareness of our residents, and certainly what better way to start than with our children, who help to reinforce and keep us all honest. So I thank you for what you're doing, and hopefully as we look at other regions of the city, we can find ways in which they can have the benefit of what you're doing as a best practice, to be able to implement some of the same kind of education to help to increase some of the same kind of practices that you are able to share in that region throughout the city. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Colosa.
Thank you, President Good. Thanks for your presentation, Ms. Chu, Mr. Adams, and Ms. Gruhl. Just a few follow-up questions from my end. Is the Discovery Cube open right now for the public? Or are you guys still closed because of pandemic?
Yes, we're open.
Okay, great. And just curious, how has your attendance looked in the past few years, and how does that relate to the funding that, I know we're not voting on the funding, but just curious how that correlates to the requested funding?
Yeah, the attendance had been, since our opening, continued to grow. We were at pre-COVID levels. Like the last year, we're about 250,000 people or so is what our reach is. About 25,000 of that were kids on field trips that came in. So what is that, 10% came on field trips. The rest was this kind of general public that comes in throughout the region. Yeah, with COVID, as with everything, we took a hit. We were closed until Memorial Day, and then we opened up and started off again. So, we're off and running and continuing to grow just as more kids and families are, kind of dealing with COVID and getting more active. And we're seeing those numbers continue to increase. So we're feeling good that we will be in full back to where we were 2019 numbers by the end of this, kind of between probably right by spring, I think we'll be at like 100% levels. So we're going to continue to ramp up to that point.
And Commissioner, just one thing to add, during the COVID, although we were not open, Joe and the team designed a whole Discovery Cube Connect, which was available online and was in partnership also with LAUSD. So we were able to provide the same educational opportunities remotely, albeit not, as much as we would like in person. But that is continuing so that our reach is even greater than just those who attend, or it is complementary to what people see when they go to the site and vice versa.
Great, thanks for sharing that. That was my next question about the virtual programming, just because I know students and parents are having such a hard time, and a lot of the same experiences and the educational opportunities may not have been the same in the past year. So that's great that you all shifted to some virtual programming. Just curious, do you all have any multilingual programming by chance? I know, of course, in the Valley area, there's a huge Latino and Asian population, and just curious if any of that has been integrated at all in your programming, or will be integrated in your programming in the future.
Oh, for sure. So, the Hispanic population, if we didn't have things in Spanish, we would not be able to connect with them, especially in that part of the Valley. So right now, that's kind of we have 2 bilingual programmings that we're doing. We have not pushed it into other like the Asian communities that you'd mentioned. I think that's somewhere it could go in the future, sure.
Okay, yeah, that would be my friendly request, to think multilingual. Bilingual is a great start, but really hoping that will expand your reach even more, knowing that we have such diverse communities here, and I'm sure hopefully that will broaden the reach, even if it's to start off with multilingual for virtual programming. We've seen the huge gap in those services, especially in the last 18 months, and would just be that friendly recommendation for your future years of programming. And I think that's really it from my end in terms of my questions. I think this is a great partnership, and I was there, I think, 2 years ago with former President Kevin James and Vice President Garcia. We were also doing all your different exhibits, and I think there was a hockey exhibit, I want to say, with the Kings that was on the second floor there. So it was, and Senator Alex Padilla was there. You had a very nice event, and you opened up your space to not just the city, but everyone in the community. And I know that's important where places like the Valley, where there's not as much attractions, right? Like they're kind of concentrated in the downtown area, the Hollywood area. So if you live in the Valley, you have to drive a lot further to get those experiences for kids. So I think it's a bright spot in that part of the city. So thank you for your work, and I think this is great. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Good morning to everyone. I won't take longer. I know you guys are ready to move forward with your MOU. I'm very familiar with the Discovery Cube. I actually saw it get built. Both of my kids went to Fenton Elementary. So as you know, that's just down the street from Discovery Cube. So I passed through Discovery Cube while it was being built, while it was opening. I saw it from when it was not Discovery Cube. So I'm very familiar with the area. And I love that we have it here. I just love how that's such a great asset to the Hanson Dam area, but also just to the whole community here in this part of the San Fernando Valley. A lot of families, as you know, as you see, congregate on the weekend there. And so it's always so great that they get to know this gem that we have there. So I hope that a lot of that population goes into the Discovery Cube as much as possible. I don't have much. I just want to go back to clarifying the initial question that I think Teresa, Commissioner Villegas, President Good, and I had. Have we always provided a 3-year contract, or is this the first time we're going on a 3-year phase? And I don't know I guess that would be for you, Ms. Chow. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Commissioner. So I wanted to just confirm, just to clarify, the first MOU was for a period of 3 years. And then after that, an amendment was done to add like 15 weeks to just round it off to kind of align the MOU term with the city's fiscal year period. Since then, there was a gap in time when the MOU expired, and the reason why you have the second MOU before you is because we want to continue that partnership. And there's also, we cannot amend an expired MOU, and that's why we had to establish a second MOU instead of amending the initial MOU that we had.
Okay, I think I got it clear now. We're good. I'm glad we have a 3-year now MOU established and that we're moving forward with this one. And I hope that we can continue to grow the Discovery Cube. It's a really nice place here. So congratulations to you, Mr. Adams, for running it. I'm sure it's a fun day every day, and I'm sure it's an amazing position. And to you too, Mr. Monte, is that your last name? Alamonte, also for being the second in command there. I'm sure you also have fun every day. So with that, I just want to say thank you, and when it's time, I look forward to moving this item forward.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Yeah, I guess the MOU will essentially govern for 3 years, even if, for example, if the council allocates more for the next fiscal year, for example, this MOU would govern for 3 years. I think that's where, and my apologies, I think I confused matters a little bit. So, but that's right, Ms. Chu?
That's correct.
Got it. Thank you all for the presentation. One other thing I was going to be presumptuous in adding, but given the partnership with sanitation, and given y'all's robust commitment to messaging and teaching around recycling, it'd be interesting for y'all to continue talking with sanitation, also potentially about messaging around recycled water. That we're about to, head into a very, very crucial phase for the city, for the region, in terms of water conservation, but also how we look at water, and sanitation is obviously at the very, very forefront of that. Commissioner Villegas and I spend a whole bunch of time at Hyperion Water Reclamation Center or plant right now, and so I would just pin that and offer that up, and I'd say the same thing to sanitation for obviously some meaningful opportunities there. So. And including with the Environmental Learning Center at Hyperion, which I think y'all been a part of. Is that correct or no?
We've been invited from time to time, but I think it's something that we could relook at for sure. Yeah, I've been through the tour of it. It was just kind of early days of it transforming into an educational center, and it kind of went a different direction, but.
It's fabulous. No one goes there right now because we haven't reopened, but it would definitely be some more tentacles to the partnership to contemplate. I think would be meaningful and helpful. Terrific. All right. I don't have any more questions. Thank you all for coming this morning. It's a fabulous partnership. I too have taken my daughter. Look forward to bringing her again. It is as Vice President Garcia described it. It is a gem for the city. It's exciting to be able to be a part of this partnership and this relationship. So with that, I will motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
I think I moved in, Mr. President.
Oh, you did? Did you already do that? Jumping ahead of me. Such enthusiasm. All right, so I will second Vice President Garcia's
There you
motion. Dr. Campos, why don't we take a roll call vote?
Absolutely, Mr. President. Item number 5 has been moved by Commissioner Garcia, seconded by Commissioner Good to adopt the item and refer this item to the mayor for his approval. We'll take the vote now. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous.
Let's move it forthwith, Dr. Campos.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Thank you, Mr. Adams. Thank you, Mr. Almonte. And keep up the great work. Look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Chu. Thank you for the excellent presentation. Really appreciate it. Okay, folks. Let's keep moving. We're going to go back to item number 1. Item number 1 is a revised task order solicitation number 35, HDR Engineering, Sepulveda Basin Lake Balboa Irrigation Project. Recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revision to TOS number 35 to HDR Engineering, increasing the budget authority from $59,500 to $180,000 for irrigation engineering services for the Sepulveda Basin Lake Balboa Irrigation Project. Mr. Fierce, are you here on the item?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good morning.
Good.
The Sepulveda Basin Lake Balboa Irrigation Project is a Proposition K specified project defined as upgrade irrigation system to water conservation standards for the project. The irrigated area to be upgraded totals approximately 67 acres, and the new system will be connected to the current reclaimed water system. In September 2016, the Bureau of Engineering issued the task order solicitation for consultant services, and only one proposal was received from HDR in the amount of $54,000. After review of this proposal, the BOE decided to authorize HDR to proceed in August of 2017. Our current construction funding is $2 million, which is insufficient to replace the entire irrigation system. And so the BOE proposed replacement of the main line, the remote control valves, controlling valves, and the lateral irrigation lines and sprinkler heads would remain as is. HDR began design in the fourth quarter of 2017, and during this time, HDR's design costs exceeded their NTP amount, and subsequently HDR submitted an additional service request in the amount of $14,965.35. As the project progressed, Recreation and Parks decided that the project needed to include replacement of the entire irrigation system. HDR submitted a proposal for the additional work in the amount of $59,522.65, and the NTP was issued for this amount. VOE requested additional coordination meetings with HDR, resulting in additional work in the amount of $3,788.71, and the NTP was issued for this amount of work. At the present time, the plans are approximately 90% complete. The last remaining issue to complete the design is to determine static water pressure at the point of connection of the irrigation system with the Department of Water and Power mainline. HDR submitted their proposal for this additional work in the amount of $23,300. Bureau of Engineering has drafted the NTP number 5 for the service, which would increase the total of HDR's contract to $155,576.71, exceeding the city engineer's authority to issue NTPs below $150,000. At the time of distribution of this original request for qualifications, the contract anticipated MBE and WEB participation levels of 12% and 2%, respectively. HDR is an ODE firm and had spreads 0% MBE and 0% WEB. since the original scope was utilized solely with HDR staff. Funding for this project is in the amount of $180,000 and comes from Proposition K Fund. With approval of this board report, we anticipate being able to award the work in June of 2022, with construction completing in February of 2023. And with that, it ends my presentation. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. We'll open it up. Vice President Garcia?
Thank you, President Good. No questions for me. Thank you, Mr. Fierce, for your report.
Thank you, Vice President. President Pro Tem Davis? Oh, you're muted, Mike. Mike, you're muted.
Hello. No questions for me.
Okay, great. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. I don't have any questions either. I'm good.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Close.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your report, Mr. Fierce. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Zoom sees everything, including copy down the wrong pipe. Sorry. That would be TMI in some form or fashion. Sorry about that. I don't have any questions either. I don't know that I could articulate them at the moment anyway, but I am good. Do I have a motion to move the item forward? Sorry about that, Stephen.
So moved.
All right, I'll take
second.
it. Okay, no, I think you were first. You hit the buzzer first, and then I'll take the second from President Pro Tem Davis. Dr. Campos, can we have a roll call?
Yes, there's been a motion by Commissioner Caloza, seconded by Commissioner Davis to adopt item number 1. Voting tabulation will be President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous. Mr. President, would you like to consider this item forthwith?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move it forward. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Thank you, Dr. Campos. All right, let's go to item 2. Item 2 is a budget increase in change orders, North Spring Street Viaduct Widening and Rehabilitation Project Phase 2. Recommending the board, 1, authorize $190,981.17 in additional contingency and approve a revised construction budget of $3,273,451.17 for the North Spring Street Viaduct Widening and Rehabilitation Project Phase 2. And 2, authorize the city engineer to issue subsequent change orders under the contract and up to the revised construction budget of $3,273,451.17 for the project. Mr. Gibson, are you here on the item?
I am.
Good morning.
Good morning, President Good and commissioners. Scott Gibson here with the Bureau of Engineering Bridge Program. As you mentioned, I'm requesting additional roughly $190,000 in additional contingency in a revised construction budget of $3,273,451.17 for the North Spring Street Widening Project Phase 2. Just a little bit of background on this project. It involves, among other things, the demolition of an existing warehouse building and the extension of a street through that vacated space. So after we demolished the building, a little bit more background. The building includes 2 shared walls on the east and west side of the building. So the walls are owned half by the city and half by the adjacent property owners. So after demolition of the city's building, one of the adjacent property owners approached the city claiming that they felt that the removal of our building adversely affected the integrity of their shared wall. And after that property owner approached the city, the opposite property owner brought forth the same claim. So I approached our structural engineer with this question, and he, did some calcs, and he did confirm that while small, we did adversely affect the integrity of both of their walls. So the city agreed to construct structural frames to replicate the forces that were removed by the removal of our building. And so we completed the east frame earlier this year, and we've been working on the west frame. The west frame was a little bit more involved because we actually had to connect through inside of the existing building and the rafters and the joists and all that kind of stuff. The problem was both of these buildings are roughly 120 years old, so the as-built drawings we were working off of were not the best. And so when we were constructing the frame, we encountered a lot of unforeseen conditions. The foundation elevations were a little bit off. The joists and rafters the spacings were inconsistent. The roof line was actually at an incline, and so a lot of corrections had to be made sort of in the field and on the spot. So that added some cost to this project, and so that's what this $190,000 is intended to compensate the contractor for. This is phase 2 of the project, and we did have some money left over from phase 1 of the project in some special funds, and so that's where this $190,981.17 is coming from. So there is no impact to the general fund. So that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Any questions, President Pro Tem Davis?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Gibson, as we look at this project, you said that the $190,000 was rolled over from the prior budget in phase 1, correct?
Correct.
And what, again, will this money be used for as we get into phase 2? It will be used for compensating the vendor for what?
Well, so we framed the wall, but we encountered a lot of unforeseen conditions because of the old nature of the building. It's 120 years old, and so there were a lot of additional costs in compensating for those differing site conditions. And so this $190,000 is to pay for those costs, additional costs.
I got you. So in fact, the vendor has already repaired those, but they were extraordinary repairs based upon the age of the project for which we had no prior knowledge in terms of getting into the work.
That is correct.
Now, as we talk about phase 2 of the project, what is the timeline that we anticipate we'll be able to finish phase 2?
We are currently in phase 2, and we're approaching the end of, we're complete. We've completed all the contract work, and so this framing of the walls is just change order work, and so we are, for all intents and purposes, complete.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you for that. I appreciate your report, Mr. Gibson. It's comprehensive, and thanks for the pictures as well. I think it's just it looks like it's another entry area into the park. The reason for those improvements, I mean, I was going jogging there pretty regularly, but I don't know what happened, and I stopped, and I should probably go back. But there's a lot of users in that area, and so it seems like, that'll also help in a lot of new shops and stuff in that area. But it seems like that's another entry point for the park. Is that correct?
Yeah, there was an entry point, I guess, just to the west, but it was created a blind intersection, and so this provides a safer access to the park, and it also just opens up the area, so it provides additional safety and visibility as well.
Okay. All right, and so then the 190 is just to because the work is already done. You're just compensating, right? You're just reimbursing.
Right. Yeah, we had a cost in place, an estimated cost, and then we started encountering all these differing site conditions, and so we couldn't stop the work. We just allowed them to proceed, and so that's what this is intended to cover.
All right. I don't have any further questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Mr. Gibson, thank you for your report. I don't have any questions. My colleagues just asked a couple of good questions. So just, and I say I don't have any questions, then here I am. So for clarification, Mr. Gibson, we were able to fix those retaining walls or not?
Yes, the framing is all done, and it turned out very well. Both property owners are very happy, so yes, it's all done.
Oh, good to hear that. I don't have any other questions. Thank you so much. I'm glad we were able to do this work.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Closer.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Mr. Gibson. I think my colleagues asked some good follow-ups. This work needs to get done. So thank you for your work on this, and to BOE team, and also Ms. Lau, who has recently transitioned to the Street Improvement Division. So she also worked on this. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Closer, and ditto. So those buildings are 120 years old, huh, Mr. Gibbs?
Yeah, I've been told that they're the second oldest commercial buildings in the city. I haven't verified that, but that's what I've been told. I heard the oldest one is the Capitol Milling building in Chinatown. But yeah, they are very old.
Wow, it's really interesting. It's great that we were actually able to help them survive that process.
Right. It was a very tedious process.
Yeah. All right, I'll take a motion to move the item forward.
Moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Closer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call, please?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Caloza, seconded by Commissioner Garcia to adopt item number 2. We'll take the vote now. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas. This motion carries unanimous.
We will move it forthwith, Dr. Campos.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. All right, folks, on to item 3. Item 3 is a contract award for the EC Inc. Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Perimeter Road Improvements, CIP 2447, and this is a rebid. Recommending the Board of Public Works, 1, declare Ford EC Inc. first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award Ford a contract for the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Perimeter Road Improvements Project for $6,463,000. And 2, authorize the President or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the City Attorney. Mr. Shaw, are you here on the item?
Good morning, Commissioner. Nadir Shah, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. On May 19, 2021, the board authorized the advertisement of the Capital Improvement Project, CIP 2447, Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, Perimeter Road Improvements. On June 30th, 2021, the board received 3 bids. The background of the project is that under this project, we will install 2,150 linear feet of sheet piles for road stabilization and install the concrete cap, curb, gutter, and vehicular rails. The existing subbase and chain link fence will be removed and replaced. The road will be paved with new asphalt. In addition, to protect the slope, riprap installation and hydroseeding will be performed. The contract duration is 365 calendar days. On July 14, 2021, the Program Review Committee approved the revised construction budget of $7,224,000. The recommendation is to declare Ford EC first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Ford a contract for this project for $6,463,000. This concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I'm good on this item. I read the report and was also, had a chance to talk to staff. I'm good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions either. And thank you, Mr. Shaw, for your report.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
No questions for me either on this item. Thank you for your report, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you.
All right, and Commissioner Closer.
And thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Mr. Shaw. Thank you for your report and work on this, as well as the LACN team.
Yeah, I don't really have any questions as much as the observation this is an expensive project, clearly. But really, all you need to do is look at the picture in the report that pretty much tells the story. And as Commissioner Villegas and I were discussing yesterday, I mean, the fact that it's really just, it's going to be heavy duty vehicles going down that road for maintenance work. That's clearly imperative that this be turned into a real street at this point. So I will motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think Villegas hit the button first, Dr. Davis.
Yes. No problem.
Second, Commissioner Villegas. Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call, please, sir?
They have to get a time clock here to see who hits the buzzer first. There's been a motion by Commissioner Good, seconded by Commissioner Villegas to adopt item number 3. We will start the vote now. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Thank you. This motion is adopted and carries it unanimous. I'm sorry, the motion carries unanimous.
Let's please move the item forthwith, Dr. Campos.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw, and Mr. Wong, if he's out there somewhere. All right, colleagues, let's go now to item number 4. Item number 4 is a supplemental agreement, personal services contract, routine, and 24-hour emergency hazardous waste management services. Recommending the board approve and forward this report with transmittals to the mayor and city council, requesting the following. 1, authorize the board to approve the supplemental agreement to personal services contract between the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Street Services and Clean Harbors Environmental Services, Inc. for routine and 24-hour emergency response hazardous waste management services through November 1, 2023, and increase the contract ceiling from $7.7 million to $11 million. And 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the supplemental agreement with Clean Harbors. I see Ms. Chow, I see Ms. Clements, I see Ms. Benson, and I also see Mr. Halou. So we got a full all-star team here to present on this. Who's taking the lead? Ms. Chow?
Hi, Commissioners. Good morning. Yes, this is Melanie Chow with the Bureau of Street Services, Streets LA, and yes, I will take the lead on this item. Before you is a report to approve a supplemental agreement to the contract with Clean Harbors to It's basically extend the contract for 3 years through November 1st, 2023, as well as increase the contract ceiling by $3.3 million for a total of $11 million. The contract is to provide both routine as well as 24-hour emergency response hazardous waste management services. As you know, Streets LA maintains the public right-of-way in the commercial, industrial, as well as residential areas of the city of Los Angeles. Occasionally, an individual or a company may spill or leave used oil or other hazardous waste materials on city streets, alleys, or sidewalks, which creates a threat to public safety and property. Streets LA is also responsible for pump-out cleaning of the La Brea tar pits oil seepage pumps, as well as the clarifiers at various Streets LA city-owned facilities. Streets LA does not have the necessary resources or the equipment to pump out, clean, pick up, and properly dispose of such hazardous waste products. The Bureau of Sanitation established a contract for hazardous waste management services with Clean Harbors in November of 2012. The contract was for 5 years through November 2017 with 2 3-year renewal options. LA Sanitation exercised both of these renewal options and has now has a contract that expires November 1st, 2023. Streets LA piggybacked on this contract by creating its own contract with Clean Harbors that has its own cost ceiling in June 2014, which basically allows up to $1.1 million in expenditures per year. Streets LA, similar to LA Sanitation, exercised its first 3-year renewal option in November 2017 through for 3 years, which would make it valid through November 1st, 2020. While we plan to exercise the second 3-year renewal option through 2023 prior to its expiration to mirror that of the sanitation contract, this did not happen due to various delays. Streets LA does have a continued need for these services and is therefore requesting the execution of this supplemental agreement to extend the services through November 1st, 2023, which is inclusive of a ratification clause commencing services starting November 2nd, 2020 to ensure the continuity of services. At the time of contract award in 2014, the Clean Harbors pledged MBE, WBE, and OBE subcontractor goals at the level of 6.32% for MBE, 1.36% WBE, and 2.6% OBE. This is based on the levels established for the Clean Harbors contract with LA Sanitation, which has different hazardous waste material needs compared to that of Streets LA. For sanitation, their disposal is mainly for household waste, while those for Streets LA, it would include oil seepage pumps, clarifiers at Streets LA facilities, as well as street waste on city streets. Moreover, these services are requested on an as-needed basis, so therefore utilization of specific subcontractors depend on actual services requested, and therefore inevitably would vary from those pledge levels that are for the LA Sanitation contract. As of December 2020, Clean Harbors achieved participation levels of 0.57% MBE, 1.35% WBE, and 38.45% OBE on the Streets LA contract. As such, we have agreed with the Clean Harbors that they will use this as the basis for the pledge levels through November 1st, 2023. Therefore, we are asking that the supplemental agreement be approved as part of this report. The agreement has already been approved by the city attorney as to form, and we ask that this board approve it and execute it. And once this is approved and we receive Executive Directive 3 approval by the mayor's office, we would then go to city council for extension. That concludes my report. Any questions for you, from you, commissioners?
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Vice President Garcia, any questions?
Thank you, President Good. Ms. Chow, thank you for your report. Appreciate it. Ms. Chow, can you describe to me when, because I know that sanitation also has this contract, so can you describe to me the difference in duties, one, on the public right-of-way, and second, when is it that streets LA versus sanitation needs to call on Clean Harbors?
Well, for the streets, I can't speak too much about the sanitation services. Maybe Mary Benson can cover that. However, for Streets LA, so occasionally we may get a call for on an emergency response basis to clean up such as spills, for example, oil spills, bio waste. We cannot control what gets discarded on the streets. However, because the Streets LA is responsible for maintenance of the public right-of-way and the sidewalks, we are basically tasked with cleaning that up. And obviously, the Bureau does not have the resources to pick up as well as dispose of such waste. And so we utilize that Clean Harbor services for those types of emergency response. We also have the oil seepage pumps at the La Brea tar pits. Those are cleaned out on a routine basis. So that, as well as we have various maintenance yards that are city-owned facilities. So of course, equipment is maintained there, equipment is washed there, and there are clarifiers that require clean out on a routine basis as well. So that's what in Clean Harbors would be called. As for sanitation, we understand that most of the waste that Clean Harbors takes care of are for household waste. And again, maybe sanitation can speak more on the services for sanitation needs.
Thank you, Mrs. Chow, for that description. This is, I know that contract is separate. So are they doing this? I guess I didn't get this clear, but are they doing the same duties that the sanitation contract does, or it's just two different type of duties?
It would be pretty much the same thing. It's just that the type of waste is slightly different.
Okay, so the type of waste that they would collect under the Streets LA contract is different than the type of waste they currently collect at LA San. Is that right, Mr. Alex?
Well, good morning, commissioners. Alex Hello for LA Sanitation. Yes, I mean, Clean Harbor, we have the contract with Clean Harbors, and say they provide us with they work at our safe centers where we collect residential household hazardous waste. We also help us with the CSQG, which is conditionally exempt small quantity generator business waste. They also help, as Melinda mentioned, when our trash trucks come back, as when the sweepers come back, they go through a cleaning, and all the soil, the oil, the grease that comes down is captured in the clarifiers, which is basically a big tank, and they have an oil separation, and the heavy material goes to the bottom of those tanks. And so when Clean Harbors comes out, they scrape all the material from the bottom of the tank. So that's what Melinda is talking about. They pull all that material, they clean it, so this way it doesn't pile up. And they're supposed to take it back and dispose of it in an environmental friendly way. Okay. So instead of Bureau of Street Services going out and doing another contract, it's more beneficial to the city to utilize the low rates sanitation has established. And so that's why they piggyback on our contract. They, of course, they establish their own ceiling, their own funding. So this way, we're not commingling funding. We come from funding swerve. They have their own funding to pay for these things.
Thank you. Thank you. And my question for that was just, I was trying to find the difference between, for example, I know when, Melinda, you said when they get called, my thought was, wouldn't just you tap into sanitation, but I also understand that that's a different duty than some of the duties that you guys are asking for. So that's where I see the difference in the contracts.
And
Okay.
Mr. Lewis, I think, wanted to add something. Do you have something to add, Mr. Lewis?
Thank you, Ms. Clemens.
Hi.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm a superintendent for street services, and I've had to call Clean Harbors out for a lot of different emergencies. One of the big differences in street services versus sanitation is we get a lot of emergency calls, such as there may be one of the trash trucks may have broken a hydraulic line, and now there's hydraulic fluid all over the street, and we need Clean Harbors to come out and clean that up immediately. Or one of our trucks may have gotten damaged, hydraulic line breaks, which is one of the common things we call Clean Harbors out for. Also, the pedestrian tunnels, when we need the pedestrian tunnels clean, that's something else that we call Clean Harbors out for. Mm-hmm. As we mentioned, the routine of the pumping out for the La Brea tar pits, it must get done every couple of days. When it rains, we have to increase the pumping because that does overflow and it gets out into the street, so it's very hazardous. So we do call Clean Harbors on a lot of emergencies that come up, as well as some of the routine clarifier duties that we have at our yards. So there are a little difference in the requests. And I think ours are more of the emergency requests that come from our 311 system, where someone may say, oh, there's a spill here, and then we send someone out to do an inspection, and then we realize it's larger than what we can handle with just a few bags of absorbent, and then we end up calling Clean Harbors to come out. And over the years, I've had great results with Clean Harbors coming out. So that's all I wanted to add.
No, thank you, Mr. Lewis. That's a clear clarification of what I was really trying to understand, the difference in why would Streets LA need it versus why wouldn't you just call sanitation? So I get it. Thank you so much for that. I don't have any other more questions. I appreciate everybody's time, and good to see everyone. By the way, I really like to see the cross collaboration that's happening here. Just saying.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yeah, it seems like that, what is it called, Safe Harbors?
Clean Harbors.
Clean Harbors. Clean Harbors provides a supplemental service that's very significant to the work that we do in both bureaus. And so they are the missing piece, it sounds like to me. They're the only vendor that we use that provides this service. Is that correct? Melinda?
I think there was an RFP, Commissioner.
I see.
And once we had a couple companies who submitted back in 2012, 2014, and so Clean Harbor was the lowest and most qualified at the time when we selected them, and so that's how they are the vendor right now for the cleanups.
Great, and obviously the performance that they have given us has been more than satisfactory, and I'm very glad to hear that. The term of this proposal before us is that we want to extend their contract. Alex, is that correct here? Is that what we're seeking to do?
No, I think Melinda could speak about what they need for street services, which is basically piggybacking on the existing contract.
I see.
The sanitation has a contract with Clean Harbor that till November 2023, and I think Melinda trying just to match that one for her organization.
Yes. So the original sanitation contract was for a period of 5 years, starting from 2012, and it had 2 3-year renewal options. Sanitation exercised both of those options, so they now have a contract that is valid through November 1st, 2023. We also have a current contract where, so we basically mirror those terms, and we joined the and piggybacking on the contract in 2014, and so the first term ended on 2017, and then we exercised the first renewal option to make it valid through November 1st, 2020. However, we had planned to exercise the second option just like sanitation. However, we couldn't do it in time before it is expired for various reasons. And so that's why we're asking to execute a supplemental agreement instead of just doing a regular exercising of the option, because technically the term had actually ended already. We were advised by city attorney that it could be called a supplemental agreement that has a ratification clause going back to November 1st, 2020.
Right, and what is the terms of this supplemental agreement specifically for street services, if I'm correct? And that we want to use the service in street services for how long of a term?
To extend it for basically 3 years going to November 1st, 2023. It's basically exercising that second renewal option. The only difference is that it had actually expired, and that's why we are doing it as a supplemental agreement. And the amount would be basically 1.1 million to about 1.5 million a year.
Okay, so you use the term piggyback on what sanitation is doing.
Right.
And I'm trying to just clarify. What we're requiring for this motion is 1.2 million for street services to have access to say, what is the name of the group again?
Clean Harbors Environmental.
Okay, so it is for street services to have access to the vendor, correct?
Correct.
Up until the year of 2023. Now, when you use the term piggyback, you're saying that sanitation also has a contract to 2023 as well? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're seeking to be compatible with them.
Yes.
In terms of our term of request for services.
Exactly.
Now, let me ask you this. Go ahead.
The only reason we piggybacked on LS Sanitation's contract process. The only reason that we have its own separate contract with Clean Harbors is so that we do not barge in on or utilize sanitation's contract costing. This also makes it more effective in the sense that we are dealing with the invoicing and we directly with Clean Harbors and not commingling with that of sanitation's.
Well, I'm sure that none of the stakeholders are going to allow you to commingle, not Safe Harbors and not sanitation. So that goes without speaking. But what I do want to understand from a Board of Public Works perspective is, as you use this term, we're going to piggyback. We're going to do what sanitation is doing. It makes me organizationally think that there could be a benefit in that. There could be a benefit, perhaps, in us coinciding the dates and the timelines of the contract along with what sanitation is doing, which means that I would want to know, do we get maybe a certain kind of rate? Do we get a certain kind of break? Or are you just using the term we're piggybacking?
The terms actually coincide with sanitation's contract. The only
do we get the same? Do we get the same rate the sanitation gets?
Yes.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi. This is Mary Benson.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, with Bureau of Sanitation. Yes, the piggybacking gives the city two benefits.
Okay.
One is that it looks at competitive RFPs only once for one group.
Right.
And so that negotiation and beneficial contract price for the large contract, our current RFP is out for $432 million. And what it does is allows us to offer those competitive rates to other city departments and bureaus, and also to allow them kind of the benefit of our RFP process and not have to go through that RFP qualification on their own on a subject on which sanitation is contains more expertise.
Great. And so that is very important for us to understand on the Board of Public Works in terms of what the benefit is. And Mary, thank you so much. That was clearly the answer to my question. So as you talk about piggyback, Melinda, now I understand you're telling us about the benefit that we're getting in terms of working along with sanitation as it relates to us requesting the services here. And so I thank you all for the presentation today, and certainly I agree that we need to take the best benefit analysis that we can get on services. And I love the collaboration on this because at the end of the day, we're able to save taxpayers money when we work together and collaborate. So thank you for the presentation today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Calosa.
Great. Thank you, President Good. Thanks to my colleagues for your questions. Kind of touched on a little bit about what I was going to ask, but I'll ask it more specifically. I know, Ms. Chu, thank you for your presentation. You mentioned that there's delays, but I wasn't really hearing why there was a delay. Can you elaborate what happened in that, 2 years' time that didn't allow us to renew this properly? Obviously, at the board, we really don't like to, or I shouldn't speak for my colleagues, but I don't like us to see retroactively putting the date and backdating it from a year ago. And so I would like a little bit more detail about what happened.
We agree that that's definitely not our intent. As 3SLA, unfortunately, our contracts unit has basically been decimated. We used to have a 3-member team, and due to the separation incentive program as well as transfers to other departments, we lost the entire contract team. So right now, I don't have any staff but myself, and I'm responsible for the Bureau's administration division. So my responsibilities go way beyond just contracts and administration, and so that's one of the reasons. The other reason is the MBE, WBE, OBE subcontracting requirements. It took us a while to agree on what the pledge level should be, and as I mentioned, the types of services that the 3SLA provides is quite different than that sanitation uses Clean Harbors for. So that we had to come to an agreement on what the correct pledge levels should be under the 3SLA contract, as well as because this is a joint report with the different bureaus. Sanitation obviously needs to approve, the Office of Accounting as well as Bureau of Contract Administration also needs to approve. So getting approval on this joint report took a lot longer than required. And then the other, another dampener was the vaccination, mandatory vaccination requirement required of all contractors. That took a significant amount of legal review time from the contractors, and so this is a brand new requirement that based on a new city ordinance. That basically was part of the contributing delays.
And I just wanted to add that for a certain period of time, LA Sand did us a huge favor because we recognized we didn't have this contract. They actually let us use their contract for a certain amount of time. And so that was a big help. So we did have a contractual relationship for a significant amount of that time, that 2-year period, just to hold up everything while we were getting this contract in place.
It's actually a 1-year period.
Yeah.
and so add to what Stephanie was saying, we basically asked sanitation, and they graciously agreed to allow us to continue the services from November 2020 through June 30th of 2021 to basically charge under their contract as a stopgap measure. We will be presenting forth another report to the board shortly, wherein it will continue services from July 1st through whenever this supplemental agreement actually gets executed. So, we understand that this is definitely not the ideal route to go, but it is what it is as we speak right now, and we do have a continued need for their services. So we're trying all we can to get this executed as fast as possible.
Thank you for the explanation, Ms. Chu and Ms. Clements. I appreciate that. I mean, first, let me say that, we understand the huge restraints on staff, especially in the last 18 months with SIP and COVID and a lot of stressors. And so thank you for the extra work that you're putting in. We've been seeing you a lot in board.
Yes, I've been basically doing the job of like 3 to 4 people's jobs. So it's been very hectic. And I'm sure like every department is faced with the same situation, with the hiring freeze and the COVID restrictions. We have to do a lot of extra work, and people were deployed to do disaster service work as well as contact tracing. So it's been very hectic.
Thank you for explaining that, Ms. Chu. And I think this context, even though it's uncomfortable to talk about sometimes in public, it's, I think, really important for us as a board and as a department to explain the why we delayed it, so that it's contextualized with the things that I know we might all know or assume, or that you for sure know on a day-to-day basis with the challenges that you face. But I think it's good for us to explain to the public when they see something like this, and we are retroactively, going back and changing the date of the contract. So the other thing I'll say is thank you to LA San for stepping in, Mr. Halou and your team for allowing Streets LA to use your contract during this critical period of time. I know this is a really important contract for the entire city, and the everyday requests that you receive to clean our streets for a number of reasons. And so thank you for that. The other thing that, what else was I going to note? I think that's mostly it from me. Just appreciate you explaining the, actually I know what it is now. When this contract was going to expire, Ms. Chu, because, we do have a process in place at the board to track contracts expiring so that we as a board can help, right, and be notified when contracts are about to expire. Was this noticed in those reports to the board?
Yes, it was.
It was. Okay.
It worked, but our 400,000 is only mine.
Thank you for confirming that. So I think that is a good note for myself the next time that report comes around, to make sure that we're also supporting you all in the bureaus when things like this happen. So thank you for notifying us about this last year. Thank you.
And just to repeat what Melinda had said, unfortunately, because we know this contract still has to go through ED3, and this contract also has to be approved by council, because in total it's more than 5 years, and we know those processes will still take a long time. So unfortunately, we're going to have to come back to the board hopefully next week with an AFE for this interim 6-month period while we get this full contract executed.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Clements. Thank you for the heads up on that. It's appreciated. Now we know what that is when it gets agendized. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I really appreciate all my colleagues' questions. I hope that, provided everybody a lot of clarification for the actions that Streets LA is requesting today. And thanks to sanitation also just for letting us use an existing contract. We would have been delayed more had we not been able to use an existing contract already with Clean Harbors. I don't have any questions. So I think that my colleagues, again, just asked good questions, just provided context. I really appreciate Ms. Chow's, comments as well, just for context. I'm glad that it's on record. And just to understand, the just dire, issues that are happening within our own workforce. I know that is not part of our issue, but it does affect that we have to go retroactive from 2020 to now. And there's so many things that happen that you at least put it on record for all of us to be able to hear, and any other members of the public, to also understand. Thank you. I'll move the item.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Just a couple of quick questions. Ms. Chu, thank you. Ms. Clements, Mr. Liu, Ms. Benson, Mr. Lewis. So the contract for both parties, for the predicate contract sanitation holds, and then the supplemental or the piggyback contract, they both expired on November 1, 2020, correct? Well, the sanitations didn't expire. Y'all had already extended. Right. Okay. From a procedural standpoint, I'm just curious. And yes, thank you, Mr. Halou, Ms. Benson, for allowing Streets LA to essentially utilize the contract while Streets LA's was null and void. Just procedurally, how does Streets LA in that setting charge for the service, or pay back sanitation, I guess, or how is that working?
What happens in the FMS system, the financial management system, basically sanitation gives our department authority to encumber funds against the LA sanitation contract in our accounts.
Okay.
So we encumber out of our accounts, and then we pay for our invoices out of our expense accounts. So it's not like we have to move money to LA San and all that.
FMS allows us to do it as if you were still piggybacking, in essence.
It's kind of like I would call it a type of piggybacking. It's just that you're not establishing a second contract. You're actually using another department's contract. Right. And that is an established practice that does happen. It requires the control. There are internal controls, and it requires the controller to approve it also.
Okay. And then, did I hear right, or disabuse me of this if I'm off, that sanitation plans to put this back out to RFP following in advance of the expiration in 2023?
Well, President Good, hi. The sanitation was authorized by the Board of Public Works to release an RFP. So we did release an RFP. We got responses back. Mary and her team and others are reviewing it right now. So we'll be coming to the board with our recommendations for beyond November 2023.
Okay.
I also want to say, what Commissioner Garcia mentioned is absolutely correct. We collaborate, so there is really no thank for sanitation. We love to help any other departments, and Streets LA is our sister department under the board. So they help us also when we need something. So all the departments really collaborate. I wish we had more funding under our cap. We could have, they don't have to go through all this, but with all that happened on the cleaning the streets, homeless encampments, Hyperion cleanups, and everything else, we are using the cap, unfortunately. But if we had the money, we would not have any quorum about letting them without having Ms. Chu and everybody else jump through hoops, because we understand. She's absolutely correct. They get decimated with the SIP, everybody felt it, but to Commissioner Garcia's point, we really try to help each other as much as we can.
That's great. Certainly applaud that that collaboration and that sense of sister and brotherhood in the umbrella of the Department of Public Works. And so, but if your cap wasn't full, and I'm certainly extremely cognizant of that, that the process that y'all are actually doing right now, encumbering funds against that, you could actually do that without having to piggyback. And I'm just speaking hypothetically.
Yes, hypothetically, if they had an unlimited, not unlimited ceiling, but let's say a $500 million ceiling, then there would be maybe a financial capacity under their ceiling.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's maybe something we want to think about for the next contract. Maybe we have just one contract, but there's also reasons why it is sometimes just to keep it separate.
Yeah.
Or we could talk to sanitation about that for the next round.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about. So I appreciate that on all fronts. I'll take your motion, Commissioner Villegas, to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call, please?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Villegas, seconded by Commissioner Garcia to adopt item number 4 and refer this item to the mayor for his approval. We'll start the vote. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous.
And let's move it forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Help move it forward. All right. Thank you, all of you. Really appreciate the thorough presentation and conversation. So, colleagues, with that, let's recess for 10 minutes. We will return at 11:46 on the nose. We'll see you in a second.
Mr. President, you are now in record mode. Commissioner Caloza and Commissioner Davis, if you could please turn on your video cams for us. Mr. President, all commissioners are on and you are in record mode. Would you like me to reestablish quorum for you?
Please do so.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, reestablishing quorum. It's 11:47 a.m. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. Mr. President, you do have a quorum.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Let's move to item number 6. Item number 6 is a bid extension for the outfall sewer rehabilitation Unit 10, 101 Freeway to Cardinal Street project. Recommending the board, 1, grant an extension of the bid date from October 27th, 2021 to November 10th, 2021, and 2, instruct the city engineer to advise all prospective bidders of the board's action by addendum. Now, colleagues, my understanding is that there is a request to actually amend recommendation 1 to extend the date to actually November 17, 2021. We will we'll address that once we hear the presentation from Mr. Arrington and I assume Ms. Alonso as well. Good morning. Yes, we got 12 more minutes. So good morning.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Edward Arrington with the Bureau of Engineering. And as noted, the purpose of this motion is a request for a bid date extension of the project entitled North Awful Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 10, 101 Freeway to Cardinal Street. The project was advertised on September 10th of 2021 and will rehabilitate the North Awful Sewer, or NOS, starting at the intersection of the 101 Freeway and Mission Road and extending along the Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way to the north of the intersection of Gibbon Street and Cardinal Street. If you're familiar with the San Antonio Winery, that is the terminus of where this project is. The project will rehabilitate approximately 3,500 feet of a 54-inch and 1,400 feet of a 48-inch clay tile line semi-elliptical concrete sewer by slip lining, as well as rehabilitate a 39-foot monolithic portion of a 9-foot storm drain or NOS structure. The city engineer's estimate for this project is $52,506,100. The project is scheduled to receive bids on October 27th of 2021 as of today. However, due to the complexity of the construction of this 9-foot monolithic storm drain and sewer structure, prospective bidders have requested additional time to prepare their bids. An extension would not significantly impact the project schedule and would allow the contractors additional time to submit competitive bids. However, since the preparation of this motion, staff has determined that more time is needed to provide a proper response to the various questions that have been received by bidders. And as such, we are requesting, as noted by President Good, that the bid date be extended from October 27th, 2021 to November 17th of 2021. So with that, we will seek to answer any questions you may have. Along with me, of course, is also Miss Hortensia Alonso, who is the manager overseeing the project.
Thank you, Mr. Arrington. Thank you, Ms. Alonso. Colleagues, questions or any questions? President Pro Tem Davis? You're muted, Mike.
No questions for me on this particular item. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. No questions from me either. Appreciate the report.
Thank you. Vice President Garcia?
Thank you, President Good. No questions from me either, and thank you, Mr. Arrington, for your report.
Thank you, Vice President. And Commissioner Colosa?
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions on this item. Thank you for the report, Mr. Arrington, and for all your work on this, Ms. Alonso. It's a really complicated part of the NOS, so much so that they even have drone footage for our contractors just to show the complexity of it, because it crosses over different rail lines as well. And so I just appreciate all the work that they've put into this and the level of detail that they are really setting this project up to succeed by responding to all of the questions from the contractors. So thank you, Hortensia and Edward, for your work on this.
Thank you.
And Jennifer as well.
Yeah, I would echo that. In fact, I would say I would offer a friendly amendment to Commissioner Colosa. Complexity would be a generous description or complex. Yeah, so yeah, thank you all. This is a big project and intense and crucial. So I will motion one to amend recommendation one to, well, I'll motion to approve the item as amended, changing the November 10th date to November 17th, 2021 in recommendation one. Do you hear that, Dr. Campos?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Dr. Campos, you want to take a roll call, please?
Yes, there's been a motion by Commissioner Good, seconded by Commissioner Colosa to adopt item number 6 as amended. We'll take the vote now. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Colosa?
Aye.
Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous, as amended.
We'll take it forth or move it forthwith, Dr. Campos.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all very much. Have good weekends.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And good luck with this. All right, item 7 is authority for expenditure, Los Angeles County Tax Collector. Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $46,000 to encumber funds to cover annual secured property taxes, first and second installments for fiscal year 2021, 2022 for various Bureau of Sanitation properties. Please note that an additional AFE has been submitted in the amount of $15,000 under Fund 508, Solid Waste Resources Revenue Fund, to cover the remaining balance of property taxes due. Ms. Martinez, are you here on the item?
Yes, I'm right here.
Hello, good morning still. We get 6 minutes.
Okay. Good morning, President Good and Commissioners. As you said, my name is Jennifer Martinez. I'm with the Wastewater Engineering Services Division, and I'm presenting this authority for expenditure for, like you said, the first and second installments of our annual property taxes for 10 properties under LA Sanitation. The total requested amount is $46,000 for this AFE.
1 moment.
Any questions, Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Just gotta pay our bills.
President Pro Tem Davis?
No questions for me either. Thank you for the report and update.
Thank you. Vice President Garcia?
No questions from me either. Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
And Commissioner Closer?
No questions for me. And sorry, Ms. Martinez, I thought you were on the LASAN side for the last item, since I know LASAN and BOE works on the NOS together. So, thank you.
Thank you. And then, can I just, for clarity, Ms. Martinez, the note that an additional AFE has been submitted, can you just unpack that a little? Maybe that I'm just dense.
So the total requested amount for this year's property taxes is $61,000. We are paying it through 2 AFEs. This one will be under the Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund, so that's the $46,000 coming out of that fund, and then the other $15,000 is coming out of the Solid Waste Resources Revenue Fund, Fund 508.
Affectionately known as SWRF. I see. So it's just a matter of splitting the funds.
Yes. Yeah, just from 2 different budgets.
Got it. Makes sense. All right. I'll take a motion to approve the item.
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Dr. Campos, can you please take a roll call?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Villegas, seconded by Commissioner Garcia to adopt item number 7. Voting tabulation will begin now. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous.
And let's move it forthwith, Dr. Campos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. All right, folks, let's move to item 8. Item 8 is specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is a project in CD 2 and 6. Secondary Sewer Renewal Program D-Con 03 E28 and E30. Work order SZC 14006. Estimated cost $681,085. Bid receipt date will be December 1, if approved, December 1, 2021. I'll take a motion to approve the item.
So second.
I think that was Villegas, seconded by Caloza. Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call?
Yes, motion from Villegas, seconded by Caloza to adopt item number 8. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza?
Aye.
Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous.
All right, we'll move it forward forthwith. Thank you, Dr. Campos. All right, we have a couple of administrative items. I think we'll take them together. I will just read both, and then we'll vote on both together. Item 9 The mayor and city council have approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the proposed professional services agreement with CR&R for the processing and marketing of residential recyclable materials from the West Los Angeles, North Central, South Los Angeles, and Harbor waste sheds of the city of Los Angeles. Item 10 is the mayor. Item 10, the mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Street Services to execute the contract with Sterndahl Enterprises, Inc. for freeway off-ramp closure services, plus related permits, licenses, and administrative costs required by the state of California. I'll take a motion to approve items 9 and 10. Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call, please, sir?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Garcia to adopt item 9 and 10. Voting tabulation will be President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous to adopt 9 and 10.
Thank you, Dr. Campos, and we will. We don't need to move forward. All right, folks. That brings us to item 11. Item 11 is a stop notice. All American Asphalt. All American Asphalt is transmitting a stop notice in the amount of $16,158.69 for asphalt material provided to Hardy and Harper, Inc., an apparent subcontractor in connection with the Tiny Home Village Alvarado Street project, for which the primary contractor is Ford EC, Inc. Okay. I'll take a motion to approve the item.
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Mr. President, just for clarity, this is item number 11?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. There's been a motion by Commissioner Villegas, seconded by Commissioner Caloza to receive and file item number 11. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous.
Thank you, sir. And then let's move to item 12. This is a partial release of stop notice, Don H. Mahaffey Drilling Company. Don H. Mahaffey Drilling Company is transmitting a partial release of stop notice in the amount of $554,003.04, reducing the stop notice from $1,894,209.87 to $1,354,206.83 for cast and drilled whole concrete piling in connection with the Taylor Yard Bikeway pedestrian bridge over the Los Angeles River project. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
So move.
Dr. Davis, is your hand up?
Oh wow, I don't know how that happened.
Oh, okay.
But I do support it.
So I've got a motion from Villegas. Did I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, take your second, Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, can we go ahead and have a roll call vote?
Absolutely. Commissioner Villegas has motion and seconded by Commissioner Davis to receive and file this item number 12. We'll take the vote now. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Mr. President, could we consider this item forthwith?
Yes, please do.
And also for clarification or as a request for item number 11, can we consider this item forthwith as well so that we can implement these stop notices?
Yes, let's do it.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to item number 13, and that is a status update on major upcoming street improvement projects from the Bureau of Street Services. Mr. Lewis, you giving us the report today?
Yes.
Good morning, sir, or good afternoon now.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm giving you an update for the resurfacing major projects in the metro area, starting Saturday, October 23rd, and Sunday, October 24th, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will continue milling and paving on Peters Boulevard between Riverside Drive to Vermont Avenue and CD4. There will be no major projects for the Valley area during this week, and that is my update for today. Any questions?
Any questions, colleagues?
Superintendent, when did you tell us again could you read the last areas that you said you were doing work this weekend? Is it this weekend?
It's this weekend in the metro area.
Oh, the metro area. Okay.
Yes.
Does that include what? The Wilshire area or?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
The city is divided. We commonly refer to the metro and the valley. So zone 1 or zone 2. So a lot of different ways we describe the same areas.
And so every weekend we do a certain region per schedule, correct?
Yes, sometimes we may do 2, but since we're so short-staffed, we're alternating our staffing between zone 1 and zone 2, meaning metro and valley. We just don't have enough staff currently to pave in both areas. So to help meet our annual requirements, we're alternating so that way we can just maximize using all of our resources in one area, then use all of our resources in the next area. Unfortunately, we just don't have the staff for both areas to work at the same time.
And when we do our work, our projects, I know they're on a Saturday, but so generally the work that we do is basically an all-day Saturday project. Is that what it is?
Yes, all-day Saturday and Sunday projects, yes.
Oh, we do Sunday as well? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
And the weekend work is, one, it's so that we have the least amount of impact in certain type of areas, and the other is just because we have such a large demand on our mileage that we have to do per year. We have to work the weekends in order to reach that goal. If we did not work the weekends, we would not be able to reach our annual mileage goal.
Well, we do the notification to constituents so that they will know where we're working and they can make more intelligent choices about their route and places to go, knowing that we're on such and so area. So we kind of let them know and do notifications and signage, don't we, prior to doing areas? Is that right?
Yes, we do. We send out notifications to the property owners, and we actually do a door-to-door notification. The information is also on our website, and we do outreach to the council offices, and they have methods that they outreach also. So it's multiple opportunities for us to get the information out. And thus far, we've done a pretty good job, and individuals know that we're out there and also are very pleased to find out the information in advance.
Now, in terms of the city workers that have been chosen to do the weekend projects, do they get time and a half because it's during the weekend?
Yeah, according to the union agreement, they do work time and a half on the weekends. There are some times during the year where we end up working for comp time, so it's not actual cash, but it's just time off. And again, that just depends on where we're at with the budget and where we're at with individuals' concerns. Even when the budget allows for the overtime, there's some people that elect just to have the time off.
Mm-hmm. So oftentimes, to be selected to do a weekend project can be a plus for employees on an individual basis, given the fact that you might have an opportunity to experience time and a half, correct?
Yes, and that is a way that we view it as an opportunity, and the selection process, we do take that into consideration, meaning if we have individuals that are not producers during the week, they will not be chosen for the weekends.
And I'm sure we've got great response from the city council members because at least their constituents can look out and see that they have some public works improvements going on in the district.
Yes, and also during the week, they also appreciate the information, so they see the work just continuous during the week and on the weekend. So yes, you're absolutely right.
All right, thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. President. You're muted.
Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Yes.
And thank you, Mr. Lewis. Appreciate the report and have a great weekend, okay?
Yes, you too. Thank you, panel.
All right. Okay, colleagues. We've cleared the decks, Dr. Campos, other than our adjournment for today, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. So, colleagues, I want to adjourn today in the memory of Mary Carter, Mary Esther Pardue Carter. Mary Carter was born on Christmas Eve. And by the way, we're joined by Miss Carter's son, Zachary Carter. Good afternoon, Mr. Carter.
Good afternoon. How you doing? My wife is on as well, but I think she's as an attendee, Serena Carter.
Yes. And
Yes.
hi, Miss Carter. Somewhere on here. Let's see. Thanks for joining us.
Serena, this is Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. I am trying to add you to the panel, but I'm getting declinations on my end. Sometimes we do have that happening through Zoom. I am trying my best to join you. You should get another invite in about 5 seconds. And my apologies, Mr. President, for interrupting your beginning.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that family is on the line.
I think I see the name Serena.
Yes, she is on the line. And Ms. Carter, if you can just turn on your video cam, I will go ahead and
there we go.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Ms. Carter. It is my solemn and heartfelt duty and opportunity to adjourn in the memory of Mary Carter. As I was starting to say, Ms. Carter was born on Christmas Eve, 1953, Christmas Eve baby, in Midland, Texas, to Oscar and Pardue Carter. She grew up in Texas with her siblings and then moved to California, where she graduated from Sacramento High School in 1971. Mary married William Carter Jr. in 1976 and delivered her son, Zachary, on December 27th, 1990. Mary was Christmas Eve, and Mr. Carter here was a couple days after. During that time, Mary began her career here at City Hall as a clerk typist at the Board of Public Works, eventually serving, and I want to just say this loud and clear, 38 years with the City of Los Angeles. 38 years of service to the City of Los Angeles and to Angelinos. That is something, Mr. Carter and Ms. Carter, that y'all can be, and I'm quite sure you are very, very proud. She retired in March 2019, but all the while she enjoyed traveling with her colleagues at the board office, Kumi, Grace, Martha, and Letty, along with former executive officer Jim Gibson and wife Janice and Lily. Mary was a very active church member. She served at the Center of Hope Church in Inglewood, where she enjoyed services and supported many missionary groups and young girls programs. She loved taking long naps, smart woman, reading, writing stories, and watching her favorite TV shows, movies, shopping, Mexican food, and margaritas, also a smart woman. Walks, getting her nails done, and of course, wine. Brilliant woman. Her favorite sports team, San Francisco 49ers. She was an avid fan. Now, I'm going to have to take issue with Mary on that one. We talked about that on occasion back in the day. Zachary and Serena were married in 2017. It's great to meet you both, and thank you so much for joining us here. Mary's got 2 grandsons, Noah and Cole Carter. Noah's 2 years old, and Cole is 7 months and growing, and that tells me that you two are very busy people. very busy people. And Mary was known as Gigi to Noah and Cole, and she loved spending time with them. Mary has survived our siblings, Don Allen, Richard Pardue, and Beverly and Oscar Pardue Jr., her cousin Kathy Hill, and sister Mary Kathy. I would just, we lost Mary, sadly, on September 2nd, 2021. She will be dearly missed by the board office, her church, and her family. She had many friends who cherished her and will miss her and regret her too early departure from this earth. I will say that I came here to join the board after Mary had retired, but had a number of opportunities to party with her at Christmas time, with some of the pre-COVID Christmas parties of the Board of Public Works, and she was consistently just a really kind and generous soul, always threw that big smile around like no tomorrow. She was generous with it and electrifying with it, and I very much remember that. Mary always, she didn't wait for someone to say hi. She said hi, and that's something special. It's really something special. Mr. Carter, Ms. Carter, I just want to really, again, thank you for being here. Know that your mom was very loved in the Department of Public Works in the city of Los Angeles. Know that we are forever grateful and indebted to her and you all for her service to the city and the Department of Public Works. And you can be very proud, and I have no doubt you are, of the service that she provided to the city and to Angelenos everywhere. So I don't know, I think, well, colleagues, I would cede the floor if anybody has anything they'd like to add.
Well, I would like to start off to say that Zachary and to Serena, and certainly to the grandkids, you all were the apple of Mary's eye. She was very proud of her grandchildren and very proud of you, Zach, and certainly loved her daughter-in-law as well. And in this office, I worked here since 2015, and she was very, very supportive of everything we did in the Board of Public Works office. And in many ways, for me, she was the glue to the front office. And oftentimes when we had our board meetings, she was the representative. She was the administrative assistant who brought in the work that we have in terms of sharing the contractors' ratings for projects, requests for proposals, went through her. So she was the person who presented to our board on those things. But she always had a positive attitude, always up, always cheery, and it was infectious. And when she retired, she talked about being able to spend time to visit Zachary, Serena, and to spend more time with her grandchildren. So she certainly was, again, for me and for this office, the glue of the front office in terms of what we did and in terms of her attitude, that she set the tone in the front office in terms of how we relate to those people that we serve. So she surely will be missed. And to Zachary and Serena and to the entire family, as you know, the Public Works Board office is still your family. So thank you so much for being here. And most of all, thank you for allowing us an opportunity to reflect on the public value that Mary gave to our office and to the standard that she set for us in what we do in serving the public. Again, thank you so much.
I also
go ahead, Vice President.
thank you, President Good. Mr. Carter and for the family. I knew your mom too, and I'm very sorry, and I was very sad to hear the news of her passing. She was very joyful here, and the time that I did work for her and work with her, we always had great conversations, and she was such a you could tell she had such a great spirit about her. And so we miss her at the office. She left a void here. I could only imagine how much of a void she left in your family. So with that, I just want to say thank you to you, thank you to your mom, and thank you to your family, and just, you know, we wish you guys all the best. You have an angel now in heaven taking care of you and your babies, and that's the best thing we can ask for at this time. So thank you for letting us know about your mom, and thank you for giving us this time. We really appreciate it. I'm very sorry to hear about your mom. I really am.
Commissioner Colosa?
Thank you, President Good. I also want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues and extend my deepest condolences to Zachary, Zarina, and the entire Carter family for this immense loss. Our heart goes out to you and to all the lives of the Public Works family as well, whose lives she touched, because her impact was immense. I started on the board in March 2019. And so it was with great sadness 2 years ago that I was upset that your mom was retiring shortly after I started to get to know her more. But the thing about Mary was that even though she retired, she didn't go away. We saw her frequently. The entire Public Works family still stayed connected with her. We saw her at holiday parties, and she stayed grounded in her service to the city, even after her official retirement, because she cares about the work and she cares about serving the city and the community, and she had such a big heart. And so I will end my remarks with a quote that I feel like best sums up Mary's spirit by Maya Angelou. And she said that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And Mary never forgot, and people would never forget how Mary made them feel. And she made them feel special. And that was truly a gift that your mom gave to all of us. So thank you for sharing her with us in the city. And my condolences again to you and your entire family.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Commissioner Villegas?
And I echo the same sentiment as all of my colleagues. I started in October 2019, and I got a chance just to briefly meet her, but her energy was definitely impactful. I hope our words bring comfort, for you. The same person that was at home was here as well, and just a joy, to work, with her, and also just to be able to have, conversations with her, and just to know that she loved being, at the office. She loved being working. So our sincere condolences for your family, and we feel that you're a part of us as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Zachary and Serena, and I believe we have a Noah and Cole sighting as well. My oh my goodness, cute doesn't suffice, Zachary and Serena. That's great. Hello. My predecessor, Kevin James, was very fond of Mary as well. In fact, Kevin introduced me to Mary. I remember at a Christmas party, Mike was there. I think it was 2015. Karaoke, and
oh yeah,
I was laying low, and Mary would not let me out of the joint without singing.
Okay.
She was awesome. And then Kevin too. Kevin wanted to join us today, and I think he's on here somewhere. Kevin, you there?
He is. I am. Can you hear me, Greg?
Gotcha, brother.
President Good, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, gotcha.
First of all, let me thank you all at the commission for giving me an opportunity to say a few words about Mary. Secondly, let me apologize. I don't know why, of course, on this day, when I wanted to be able to see everyone and to be at least on with you all virtually and visually, I was unable to connect, so I'm on the phone. But I did want to share a few words and to say a thank you to Mary's wonderful family for sharing such an amazing woman with us for all of those years that we got to work together. I started on the board with Commissioner Davis back in July of 2013, and I want to, I guess, start just by focusing on something that Commissioner Caloza said with the Maya Angelou statement about how someone makes you feel. Because when we walked in on day one, Mary made us feel welcome. And we were in a new environment. It was a challenging environment in the beginning because there's so much to learn and it can feel overwhelming. And Mary always made it feel less overwhelming. And it was almost immediately that I knew that Mary Carter was my friend. And we found so many things to bond over. One of them was football. And I know you've heard that before, and I know those of you that know Mary know how she was such a great fan, but she also was a great fan of the game. And because of that, I know she was humoring me when she would at least had me convinced that she had developed an affinity for Oklahoma football, even though she was from Texas, and we would tease each other on occasion. But I knew that I had a really close friend in Mary when our first loss of the season in 2013. Mary knew, without knowing me even a year, she knew me just a few months, but she knew because we had that connection that I was going to be distraught when I came in on Monday morning because my football team had lost. And Kumi may remember this, others may remember this. Mary went and made homemade signs herself about my football team saying, "Go Sooners," and she put them not only in my office and on my door, but in her workspace as well. And I knew from that, and that was in 2013, so I knew from that day forward that I had a great friend that I could share all kinds of things with. We talked about our families. We talked about vacations and trips that we were going to be taking. We talked about holidays, and we talked about sports, and we talked about work. We talked about the stress of work. And one thing that I loved about Mary, we talked about Halloween costumes. Mary Carter was always part of the Halloween costume team and was always creative with that, and was always happy to tease me about my lack of creativity in that area. I was shocked, and I was shocked and said I couldn't believe it when I got word that Mary had passed away. I just couldn't believe it. And she was so much, she just emulated life. I just couldn't believe that the life that we knew in Mary was not going to be with us anymore. And so I don't know what to say to all of you that love Mary so much and that are her family, other than what I've done in my own life when you lose someone close is, if you think about the fond memories, and there are so many with Mary Carter, it does over time help the pain go away. And so let me just say to her work family, Kumi, Grace, Martha, Jim, Janice, and the folks in the front office that worked so closely with Mary, there's strength in numbers in staying together and fondly remembering her. And to Mary's family, thank you so much for sharing such an amazing Angelino and Californian and just, just human being with us. Because like Commissioner Caloza said, everyone knew how special Mary was because of the way that she made you feel. And I'll never forget her because of the way she made me feel. And so thank you, everyone, for giving me a few minutes to honor Mary in this way today. And Commission President Good, thank you for, and to the Commission, the adjournment of today's meeting in Mary's honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Zachary, Serena, would y'all, and no obligation by any stretch, but would y'all like to say anything?
Thank you guys all so much. I mean, really, all the words, the kind things, the beautiful things you said about her, and it's so detailing of how she was as a person, especially when it came to her football. She loved her football. She loved her football, and she loved her wine. Those are two things that, she was very fond of. But, for me, I grew up at the that office that you guys are at, them hallways. Running around there, going to different commissioners' office, and I know the hallways like the back of my hand, the parking garage, all of that stuff. I know downstairs where the security guards are at, where they check you in. I know the shortcuts. I know all of that. Because like you said, my mom was there for 38 years, and I was there for 30 of it. And I mean, she loved her job. She loved it. She would hardly miss. If she missed, it was something serious going on, very important. She rarely missed work. Was always up early, on time. She would get on me about her being on time. Like, you moving too slow, I gotta get to work. And she loved it. I mean, she really did. She loved her job. She loved that office. She loved everyone in it. She loved her coworkers. And I mean, you guys are another piece of her family. And you guys became my family. That office did. So I thank you guys so much for this. This meant the world. It's very special. I'm here at work and I'm sitting in the car, but my everybody knows I'm got this going, so they're all good about it. But I thank you guys so much for this. This means a lot.
Great.
Well, Zachary and Serena, and Noah and Cole, as members of the Public Works family, please consider this also a forever invitation once this joint opens back up again to come and visit, because you're always welcome, for sure. These hallways are the same, only they're a ghost town these days, but they're the same, and it's really fun. You must have, you know it well. Thank you all for taking the time, and it is again my honor to adjourn this meeting for Friday, October 22nd, 2021, in honor of Mary Esther Pardue Carter. Thank you all very much, and good luck. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues. Good. 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.